Okay, you're welcome to another African Watch Weekly Digest, where we talk about societal issues and then see how our audience can benefit from it. And today we have on the show Dr. Mrs. Obiageli Modebelu, a senior lecturer, in the University of Lagos, precisely Distance Learning Institute, and she lectures guidance and counseling. And today she'll be sharing some kind of experiences on marriage tips and issues. And then we're only just going to discuss early marriage and look at some of the ways people can learn from it and then benefit. So, Doctor, nice to have you on this African Watch Weekly Digest.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Okay, let's begin the interview like this. Early marriage. What is your view about early marriage?
Okay, my view of early marriage is when an individual gets married below the age that is acceptable in a particular culture or country. When we say below the age, every culture, every country have a particular age set down that if you reach this age, you can actually get married. So in any case where an individual marries below that certain or stipulated age, you can actually call it early marriage. However, I can tell you that this has to be looked at from the dimension of culture, religion, and society, because every society has what they stipulate as maturity age. For example, in Nigeria, if one is 18 years and above, that person is adjudged an adult and can marry. But anybody below the age of 18 is not yet mature to get married. So any young person in Nigeria who marries before the age of 18 is actually entering into early marriage. So that's my view about what early marriage is all about.
Okay, you talked about culture,
Yes.
which has some kind of influence. We have seen circumstances and instances where ladies who are under 18 get married and so on and so forth. So
Yes.
can we adjourn that as violating the constitutional right of a country, which stipulates that at 18 years you have what it takes to get married? Can we be looking at it in the area of the constitutional angle?
Yes. In Nigeria, constitutionally, a person is not supposed to get married before the age of 18. However, because we have different cultural backgrounds in Nigeria, in some cultural backgrounds, you see children as young as 16, 17, getting married. I know the government is actually doing a lot in educating parents and these young girls also, to really understand the dangers of going into marriage earlier than you're supposed to do so. So for me, I believe that culture has a lot of role to play when it comes to early marriage. And if parents understand that these children that you are pushing into marriage, don't act, they are children. And there are a lot of responsibilities and a lot of, psychological issues that may come up. And if that child is not prepared and is not mature for marriage, that child will have a lot of issues and problems, medically, socially, economically. So for me, that is what I see early marriage as.
But Doctor, because we have circumstances where somebody gets into early marriage and at the end of the day, the consequence is very grievous, and then you see the families fighting over it and so on and so forth. But how do we try to address these issues? By probably using education as a yardstick to educate young.
Yes, that is why I said that, there's a lot to be done. The parents of these children first need to be enlightened, because if as a parent you know that exposing your child to marriage early will be detrimental to her, no parent will want to expose a child to anything that will be detrimental to the child. Also, the girl child herself needs a lot of education, a lot of encouragement, because if a girl child knows that marriage is not all in all, I must first, discover myself, understand myself, get to be at a point in my life that I can stand and own myself and own my environment. Then, if you're going into marriage mature and prepared, whatever circumstances you meet there, you are prepared to face it headlong. But when you are young and naive, there are a lot of things that may be happening in the home. The girl may not be able to manage it or handle it because she's inexperienced, she's naive, she's not exposed.
But we have instances where, because of wealth, some parents pushes their child, oh, go and get married because of the influence and other things that is attached to it. We have seen circumstances like that.
Yes, there are cases like that. In fact, let me tell you, before now, from the Igbo culture, that's why I said it's cultural and religious based. Because I know that before now, where I am from Anambra State, and from my side of Anambra State, in those days, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, girls go into marriage even as early as 14, 15, 16 years.
And they stay in the marriage.
And they stay in the marriages because, then families are more of extended in nature. So if a young wife comes in, the mother-in-law is there, the aunties-in-laws are there, the uncles-in-laws are there. So everybody are actually guiding, tutoring, helping. But in this civilized environment we are in now, and living in cities and things like that, if you bring a young girl, there are no families around, there are no aunties or uncles that will be guiding and helping, the girl may run into problems. So irrespective of the fact that the parents may want to push this young girl out because of maybe poverty, they are looking for help, and then because of that they say, okay, since we have a girl of 15, 16, 17, get married to Mr. ABC, so that he will be helping the family, not considering the girl. Because when you talk about marriage, you must consider the person going into the marriage, not your benefit, not the ulterior things you're going to gain from that marriage as a parent. You have to consider the person of the girl. When she gets there, is she going to get, the goodies there, or is she going to suffer? If it is that she's going there to suffer, why push her into that marriage? Allow her.
But sometimes you see maturity and growth in some of these ladies. And even if they are 16 years of age,
yes,
and then you begin to ask, oh, this is more than 18.
No, let me tell you, biologically, girls mature faster than boys. And that's why you will see a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old girl behaving more maturely than a 17, 18-year-old boy. Naturally, it's like that. However, their physical body is not yet mature enough to handle pregnancies and going through childbirth. And that's why so many of these young girls end up with a lot of life-threatening medical issues. And thank God the government is doing something, the government is helping, NGOs are helping, but it's better we prevent than we expose them and then we begin to give help or curative measures. Prevention is better than cure. So it's better we don't allow young girls below the age of 18 to get married. Health issues is one of the challenges that they may face. So
okay, let's look at it this angle now, because few weeks ago, if I could remember, the government of Sierra Leone placed a ban that once you are less than 18, you can't get married. It's not a law. Do you advocate for such in a country like Nigeria? Of course, Sierra Leone is a West African country, just like Nigeria is a West African country.
Yes.
So we share some kind of similarities. So will you advocate that government can probably take similar steps with what is doing?
If you look into the Nigerian constitution, if I'm not wrong, I think there's something like that in our own constitution too. It's one thing to have a constitution, it's another thing to have enforcement of that constitution. Do you understand? Because you have constitution and somebody very far deep in Adamawa State that doesn't even know what the constitution is saying marries a 14-year-old girl and nobody is raising alarm, nothing happens. Do you understand? So personally, even I myself speaking, I am a product of early marriage too. But I thank God for the kind of family I entered into and the kind of husband I had, who allowed me to grow and develop myself and discover myself. His encouragement morally, physically, socially, economically is what brought me to where I am today. But I have so many women who also took that same route that didn't end up well. Do you understand? Because as I said, marriage is, an institution that you have a lot of psychological, social, moral, physical challenges. So if you can't handle your own, there is no way you can handle children's own. Whom immediately you get into marriage, the next thing is to start having children. And it's difficult for a child to take care of children. Because somebody who is below the age of 18 is a child. And she may not actually know everything she should do to also train these children and bring them up in a way that they will be useful to the society. So you find many children of parents who married early, ending up as social misfits because the mother wasn't there for them. She may be there physically, but she may not be there psychologically and emotionally for these children because she herself doesn't even understand what she's supposed to be doing. So
what is the role of churches in this? I would have said religion, but let me just...
Religion?
Okay. So what role can they play? Because we have seen that even in churches and so on and so forth, where all these things are discussed, but if you check the rate at which early marriage, and unwanted pregnancy and so on, not that the churches are not even preaching about it. So what are the basic things that young people need to learn, irrespective of what they preach to them in churches?
Okay, the first thing, I remember there was this song by Onyeka and Sonny Ade far back. They said, "Wait for me." I think that's the title. That was the title of that song, if I still remember vividly very well. We should make young people to understand that there is nothing to rush into when it comes to marriage. Develop yourself, get education, get all your certificates, get job if possible, prepare for that, and before you enter into it. So the churches and mosques should make sure that they network, they advocate. Advocacy should be there, training, retraining, so that young people will understand that marriage is not a bed of roses. If you rush into it, you may likely rush out of it if care is not taken. They should understand that for somebody to go into marriage, at least you should have financial, psychological, social, emotional maturity. Because when we talk about marriage, people think it's only age. No. You're entering into marriage a mature person. And this maturity we're talking about here includes psychological, physical, emotional, economical. I'm not saying that if you don't have money, you don't get married. But you must have either gone to school or learnt a trade with which you can provide for yourself and fend for the family. So that you won't just sit there as a woman waiting for your husband to provide everything. So the churches, the mosques, all religious organizations have a lot to do to make sure that early marriage becomes a thing of the past in Africa. In short, in the whole world. But as I said before, it depends on what any nation accepts as their age for adulthood. There are some nations of the world that is 16. By the time you're 16, you can get married. Nobody queries it. So if our own is 18, we should stick to it. And government should enforce the laws. Government should make sure that whatever that is there in our constitution should be enforced through educating people. If you ever see something like this or hear something like this, kindly raise alarm, so that something will be done about it.
We'll be speaking with Dr. Obiageli Modebelu, a senior lecturer at the University of Lagos. Okay, doctor, let's go to this angle now, because I'm very much interested in this angle.
Okay.
Because while we talk about the ladies, like the female,
yeah,
we also need to talk about the guys and so on and so on. And there's this general belief that as a guy, you have to have what it takes. Financially. I don't know.
I disagree with you.
No, looking at it, because the kind of a country we are nowadays, you know how Nigeria is now, and then the orientations that you have to have this before you can go into dating and relationship and so on. So, looking at it, like I said, the Nigerian environment and the factors, what do you have to tell young guys? I use the word young guys because I've spoken a lot about the ladies.
Yes, for young guys, it's just for them to be able to find the right person. A young girl who is homely, who is a wife material. There are so many young girls outside, but so many of them are not wife materials because they are, looking for material readiness for marriage. Whereas marriage is not financial readiness. But I counsel people as a marriage counselor, if the boy that is coming to ask for your hand in marriage is already a graduate, and he has a little job, even if it's a job of XYZ Naira, and you as a young girl too, yeah, 50,000, yes, and you as a young girl, you also have a job of another 40 or 50,000, you can start your life with zeal, with commitment, with love, with togetherness. You build that marriage. But if you sit and you're waiting for, just yesterday I was discussing with a friend that if I meet a young person, or if a young person comes to ask for my child's hand in marriage and he's like 28 or 30 and he already has houses, and then I'll be afraid. Because even there's no genuine job you're doing for like 4 or 5 years that will give you that kind of money.
But someone maybe 5 million naira.
Yeah, it's rare. Those ones are exceptional. So what I counsel young girls is not to sit and be waiting for Mr. Right, who must have built house in VGC, who must have had this or that, And then for the young guys, don't be afraid. When you think that you are psychologically, physically, and socially mature to get married, first pray. Because marriage is a lifetime project. Pray that God gives you the bone of your bone and the flesh of your flesh. And then when you see a glimpse of light that, I think I've seen the person, approach the person. Be sincere. This is me. I don't have anything here, but I know that the future will be brighter. The future will be better. And if that girl is a girl that understands life, she will definitely say yes to it. But if she's not, she'll be looking for golden fleece, which she may never see, and time will be passing. So for me, young guys should understand that get education or get training. Don't think that, I want to marry a rich man's daughter so that from her I'll become rich. It doesn't work that way. Or I want to marry a girl who is already made so that she will build my home. It doesn't work.
So there's this popular saying that I know girls must go suffer.
But so many men also look after. I know people that are waiting to see, rich men's children, so that when they marry them, and sometimes it boomerangs, it backfires.
So it's vice versa.
It's vice versa.
But
so the best is
more.
Purity of intention is what we are looking for here. You have to be pure in your intention to approach whoever you want to propose to. And
another important area I wanted to talk about is, with the economic hardship in the country, young people are struggling to survive.
Okay.
Marriage is all about, like you said, a little bit be contented within your limits and your capacity. And that is only when you have something that you can be contented with. So, what I'm asking is, with the economic hardship in this country, Nigeria, because we're meant to understand that the inflation rate now is 34. So it will continue to go up. Nothing goes up in Nigeria that comes down. The law of
gravity.
The law of
doesn't
gravity.
Apply in Nigeria.
So how can young people survive?
Yes.
Because a lot of young people are suffering. How can they survive?
It's not only young people that are suffering, actually. Every Nigerian now, all of us are going through this challenge financially. But what I tell young people is, make sure you get something doing. Have something doing. No matter how little. And then learn financial prudence. It is very, very important you cut your coat according to your cloth. Don't do things because others are doing. So if your friend has an iPhone, it's not a must, you must get it. And for young girls, there are a lot of fashion and everything. You mustn't buy all those things. Ashebis here and there, you mustn't buy. You wake up every day, you plan yourself. I have 2,000. You plan yourself around your 2,000. Don't be wasteful. Because by the time you are wasteful, you will see every time you are in financial crisis. Also learn how to save. If you're earning 50,000 naira, you must be able to save at least 5,000 naira out of it every month. No matter what, that 5,000 naira should not be touched. If you do that, you cut your coat according to your cloth, you are prudent in your spending, and then also you look for another means of income. No human being can survive. It's not only in Nigeria, even in countries outside here, on one income only. So you must look for other things aside from your main job that you can use to augment. So that's it.
Okay, let me go to the issue of hook up. What makes a country to be productive is if the youths are being engaged. You finish your university or polytechnic, you have something, everybody's busy.
Yeah.
But a situation where majorities of the people are not busy, you must find something to do for survival.
Yeah.
And that is the point I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And in Nigeria, the rate at which young ladies go to hook up just to meet meet is a serious concern. So at this critical time, I don't know if you have had somebody or maybe experience, or people have shared experience with you as a marriage counselor.
Yes.
About this.
Yes. So last week I was discussing with a friend, and she shared this terrible, story with me, and that made my heart to sink. A young girl met a guy on Facebook, and they started communicating, chatting regularly. The boy was telling her he lives in America, but that he's coming to Nigeria, blah, 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 blah. To cut the long story short, the man sent her an air ticket to come to Lagos. She got to Lagos in June. Until date, nobody has heard from her again. They've been calling her phone number, it's not going. Calling the man, it's not going. And there's nowhere they can trace the man to, because they don't know him from anywhere. And I always tell young people, what goes around comes around. If you think because you're looking for money and you think it's your body you will use to look for that money, I tell you, it is not the right path to follow. If you as a young girl is looking for money, I always tell young people, if somebody can wash clothes for people, if somebody can sweep houses for people, why can't you? There is no job that is menial or dirty. It depends. Yes, it depends on most graduates that are leaving Nigeria to go and sweep streets, wash toilets, wash plates, bath dead bodies. So if you can do it in another man's country, why won't you do it in your own country? So the problem we have is mentality. So many young people are now materialistic. And you see them doing despicable things because they want to make money. Money should not be your motive in life or your drive in life. If money is your motive, you'll be chasing wings and you may never get that money. But if you constantly develop yourself, improve yourself, acquire skills, acquire knowledge, look for where the world is heading towards. What are the current skills that are needed in job areas, and you acquire one of those skills, you may start rough, because all of us did. I started as a nursery school teacher. Then how much was my salary? But I started small.
But your time was better.
You may say it's better, but it wasn't actually. It wasn't better. The only thing is that the inflation rate wasn't as high as this.
It was low.
Yes, so if you have 2,000 naira, it can actually buy almost everything you need for the month, unlike now. So but what I am advocating, what I am, telling young people is that do not do evil things in the name of you're looking for money. Girls, they use their body. Guys, they kill people. They do Yahoo. They do ritual, cyber crime. All these things don't pay. Crime does not pay.
But it's not the failure of government.
Yes, we can blame the government for that. But let me tell you, if you are somebody who understands, no matter how bad things become, you can't take to crime. Rather, you can take up menial jobs to substitute the one you're doing already, to at least make sure you make ends meet. And as I said, financial prudence. Sometimes you see somebody who is wearing a weave-on of 600,000 coming to beg money from you. You now begin to ask. It's misplacement of priority. Usually I tell my students, you don't have money to purchase a textbook, but you have money to buy a phone of 800,000. It's misplacement of priority. Do you understand? So,
I belong to the class.
And that wanting to belong to class, you're not impressing anybody. Live your life as you. Discover who you are and live your life as you. Time, will improve you because it's a time thing. Do you understand? As long as you are alive, as long as you're moving, as long as you're developing yourself, as long as you're acquiring skills and knowledge, you will balance up there. It's definite. You must. So that's what I'm telling young people. Don't take to crimes because the country is hard or because things are hard. You hear of people killing their parents because they want money. When you get that money, what will you use it for? And I always tell people, life is in phases. If you do whatsoever when you are in your 20s, have you ever sat down to ask yourself, when I'm in my 60s or in my 70s, if I look back, if I reminiscence back and remember, I did, will you be happy with yourself that you did something like that? So don't do anything you will live to regret because you're looking for money. And it doesn't pay. Crime doesn't pay. And as we normally say, one day is for the thief. And you see, one day is for the thief. Okay, all days for the thief, and one day is for the owner of the house. So definitely there's no crime that pays, and there is no crime you're into that you will not get a repercussion for. I've never seen. You may do it for 5 years, 10 years, and think nobody is seeing you. One day, you will actually be caught in that trap. So that's my opinion about
it. Finally, I'll just put this question together.
Okay.
Finally, societal values. We're talking about societal values, the loss of societal values, and how do we restore societal values? You have spoken so well about some of these issues through this discussion we're having. Early marriage. How do we restore societal values? What are the methods that we can go? Whether we're going to use education, whether we're going to use the traditional method, whichever method you think.
First, it starts from the home. You see, if you look at, what is happening in the society, is actually a mirror or a picture of what transpired in the homes. So if parents do their work well, if they do their homework from home well on their kids, definitely we'll have a better society for it. But you see, in this time and age, people are after money. So parents are chasing money. Father is working, mother is working, which is good. Both must work to make ends meet. But even if it's 1 hour you have every day to spend with your children, let that 1 hour be qualitative 1 hour, meaningful 1 hour that you will impress on the life of your children, that they will never forget. And then live by example as a parent too. Because I won't be telling my children, I don't want you to lie. I don't want you to steal somebody's something. But you as a parent, you are doing all those things. Do you understand? So it starts from the home first. Then from the home, it gets to the schools. Our schools are designed to provide a holistic education in cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So when a child goes through primary, secondary, and tertiary education, that child should come out holistically, a child that is developed all round, not paying attention to only cognitive, and then what happens to the affective. What we normally call in psychological parlance the head, the heart, and the hands. A child should be developed in these three domains, because that's actually what will prepare that child for the society, to contribute positively and meaningfully to the society. So when from the school, then it goes to religious bodies too, and other social agents, because there are so many agents of the society through which we can transmit our societal values. And then we as Africans and as Nigerians should uphold our cultural values that we had before. If a visitor comes to your house and your child did not come out to greet, you scold the child. Why didn't you come? Greet Uncle XYZ. If your child says something, say sorry, because all these things are important from the outset. You don't wait until when a child is 17, 18 before you start to correct. No. You should train them, be intentional in your training as a parent, so that at the end of the day, your children will be better for it. So everybody's hands must be on the deck to make sure that we leave the children in this society that we can be proud of. It is because all of us are chasing after shadows, and then all of us want to become who we are not. So we become aliens even in our own country. We want to copy people. We are all copycats. We want to copy people from the Western world. But we are not them, and we can never be them. So why don't we carve a niche for ourselves, become who we are as Africans? They will appreciate us better that way than wanting to be like them, which they themselves don't even like. Because if they meet you as an African, you're mimicking them and you want to behave like them, they don't like it. They want to see you as an African, as a black person.
Okay, we'll be talking with Dr. Modebelu, a lecturer here at the University of Lagos. He's also a marriage counselor. We'll be discussing about early marriage and, of course, loss of societal values. And this is where we draw the curtain of today's Afrikanwatch Weekly Digest. Subscribe to our YouTube channels so that you can get more tips about societal values, the importance of and the loss of our consciousness about what is good and what is better. So once again, we thank Dr. Modebelu for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.